Greetings, hello and welcome. Thanks for tuning in. I'm ImperialJedi. Today we've got a special episode in store. It's episode 21, but not only that, we're going to be doing our first look at the new Natural Disasters DLC that comes out November 29th. So not too long from now, but for those of you who are eagerly awaiting some content for that, here it is finally. So we're going to get our city of Imperius Ravenna up and ready for some incoming disasters. And the DLC does come with a few buildings that are not related to disasters, so we'll go over some of those too. It also comes with a scenario editor. I'm not really going to talk too much about that, but in a nutshell, you can kind of create some conditions and scenarios and setup. So if you want to just challenge your friends or challenge yourself, kind of set up some conditions to win, or you can even have disasters linked to triggers and stuff, but not really what we're focusing on right now. Let's just kind of blow up the city and that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, what we'll do is we'll put down a whole bunch of the emergency service and advanced warning systems, and then I'll save the game just so my heart doesn't get broken, and then we'll just blow the place to smithereens and kind of test out some stuff. Okay, so let's just make our way through the list and just kind of talk about this and that as we come across it. But in a nutshell, when you're looking for your emergency services, like the new ones, your disaster management stuff, it's over in your Fire tab, and just over in its own new kind of clicky tab up here. And these are the advanced warning systems, and these are your shelters and then kind of your cleanup. So let's put in, actually we'll start with our radio network, and I'll kind of talk a little bit about that. So the game now has a radio network, and you can change radio stations, which is pretty cool. So you can listen to the, SimCity, the City Skylines soundtrack, SimCity, oh my goodness, City Skylines soundtrack. Or you can switch over to classical music if you want, which is pretty cool. You can also listen to Cities Radio, and I laugh so hard at some of these commercials. It's silly. They put a lot of effort into that. And then Gold FM, can't listen to that just on the video because of the commercial copyright stream, but it's more like mainstream music, so if you want just a bit of a change from this. And when a disaster strikes, if you have an advanced warning system, your Sims will be notified via a broadcast. So that's why you got to put in your radio towers and this and that. And so they only need a source of power to work, but they're going to have kind of a coverage zone. But these things here, yeah, they're just going to get the word out, essentially. So we'll start with those, put a few of these in place. And, I mean, not only do they serve an actual purpose, but just from an aesthetic point of view, I think they make the city look pretty cool and just adds a little bit of realism to them. Because obviously you would find these in a city in real life, right? So okay, just drop a few of these down. Like I said, they just need power to run. Out in the outskirts, though, just for fun, what I tend to like to do is maybe run a dirt road or something to them. Just so that, if maintenance is being done or something, you don't necessarily have to come here via helicopter. You got some options. That's kind of cool. And of course, with these ones here, you can always put in your own source of power or just run some power lines over. But I think we'll just do that. I think in real life that would probably be a little bit further away, just so the wires don't, or the cables don't get in the way of the propeller blades. All right, so that's those things in place. And what's really neat is you have the really, really big towers, or you have these smaller ones here. So if you wanted something just a little bit tinier, not as big of an imprint, or say, in your, your seaport or whatever, if you wanted just that kind of industrial working kind of look and feel, add some radio towers, right? It kind of adds to the area, right? Yeah, I think so. All right, that's kind of cool. All right, so once the people are notified of a disaster, I guess we should put the early warning systems in first. So we'll start with our earthquake sensor. It's very self-explanatory. And these have a pretty decent coverage zone, so you don't really need too many of them. But I'll just maybe put those in and around just kind of like my interchanges, just so they're kind of hidden in plain sight. Hide them under bridges and stuff, right? Cool, you can see those three, pretty much cover the entire city. Maybe we can just do one more over here. Just for safety. These ones here are pretty cool, these tsunami warning buoys. So why don't we just do kind of a wall of these. There we go. So when the water level shifts, we'll get a little bit of a warning. Let me put one over here too, just in case some incoming water from that direction. And we got Doppler radar, which I'm going to be putting over in the university area, because I feel like that's kind of one of those, I'm going for the aesthetic look as well. So maybe some of our students are aspiring meteorologists. They could be studying that on campus. And then same with the deep space radar. I'm going to put that over on our university campus. It does have kind of that, like, you know, that kind of feel to it. But if we wanted to, this of course could be put way up in a mountaintop if you wanted like that kind of feel. You know, have that over here or whatever. And this will let you know if there's a meteor coming to strike down the city. All right, so now that we've got our advanced early warning detection systems put in place, we're going to have to, and a way, of course, to tell our people that there's a disaster coming. We're going to need somewhere for them to go. So let's start putting in some of the disaster shelters. And of course, all of this stuff does come with a cost, so you can't just really putting down just, you know, as many as you want. You got to be aware of it. Your budget has to be, you know, be ready, basically. And so these buildings here, the large ones you essentially drive into, so they've got a much bigger coverage zone. They can hold many, many more people compared to the smaller ones. Smaller ones you just kind of walk into. But you can see they've got a coverage zone, so let's be efficient and just get some decent coverage throughout the city. Let's just start plopping these down. We don't want anyone to be left behind. Yeah, great. Don't want to take out too many of our buildings downtown, so why don't we do that over here? They have a fairly decent coverage area, so you don't need too many. And again, because of the cost, I don't really want to go that overboard. That's a nice spot for that. And can't neglect our industrial zones. And wherever coverage is a little bit sparse, then we can kind of put in some of the smaller ones to kind of fill in the gaps. I think that'll be our game plan. So just keeping an eye on the cost. Before I started placing these down, I think we were about 13 or 14,000. And of course, because we are on one speed, the costs are slowly trickling in. So we may go into the negatives, but I think everything should balance itself out in the end. Okay, let's put in a few of these smaller ones, especially near our stadium. Yeah, there we go. And then just over here in our little waterfront industrial park. Great. All right, now we can put down some of these disaster response units, and these guys here are just basically the cleanup team. They're going to send in helicopters, get to the areas that are inaccessible, just kind of survey the damage, help with cleanup, you know, that kind of stuff. Just more of a management team. Work in tandem with everything else. And as a bonus, it's a pretty cool looking building too. So we get that aesthetic look. So someone definitely spent some time on that. So props to them. Okay, so unfortunately our budget, like I said, is in the negatives, but that was kind of anticipated, so I'm not really going to stress. We got a lot of money, so I'm also not really worried. Okay, let's put in some more of the newer buildings that we get with the regular emergency services. Okay, so over in our medical department, we have a medical helicopter depot. Let's put that in next to our hospital, and then we'll put one, say, over here in the industrial part of town, just in case there's like a medical emergency over here. And then decent coverage for the city. And of course, these will just be, you know, called upon in case the roads or whatever are inaccessible, and then, you know, an ambulance can't get there. And I think each bay maybe holds 3. Yeah, so 3 helicopters. Cool. All right, and we get a fire helicopter as well. So why don't we put those down? And these will be called for in-city, like fires within the city itself. So extraordinarily convenient, not just for areas where, you know, it's not accessible by road, but just kind of like any fire. So, oh, and then speaking of fire in general, definitely an added challenge with the new DLC. You actually get like the fire spreads. So just even your regular fires, like they're going to spread to the adjacent buildings. So you just got to be like really ready for that. That kind of caught me off guard in like a good way. So for those of you who are looking for a little bit more of a challenge now with City Skylines, you're definitely going to be getting it. So let's drop one of these in. And of course, that does not fit. Oh, there's our disaster, speaking of which. soon, very soon. Okay, so helicopter fire pad right there. I'm going to put 3 of these in the city. We can put another one over here, just kind of have these guys teamed up together. And you'll notice that the trees are now part of your fire map. I'll go over that in just 1 second, but basically, in a nutshell, you're going to have to keep an eye out for forest fires. And you get these really nifty fire watch towers. There we go. So we'll go ahead and put those in as well, and those are pretty cool. And the fire watch towers, they only require electricity to work properly, so you don't really have to worry about bringing a road or anything out. But I tend to like to, just like the radio towers, to bring a road out because it looks a little bit nicer. So you know what we could do just for fun, so I'll just kind of do a multi-purpose thing, is we can put a radio tower, even though we don't really need it. We can put a radio tower over here, and then we can bring in a dirt road, you know, for the sake of just pretend maintenance. Follow the contour of the road here a little bit. Sneak along back that behind there. That's kind of cool. And then along this, we can put in some of our little fire watch towers, and they have a very decent zone of coverage. So you can kind of see that's, you know, pretty much all we need for over there. I'll put a second one in just to be safe. And these guys here, they're going to spot any forest fire that happens, and then not only that, they're going to signal to the helicopters, and they'll kind of coordinate with them to get the fire put out. And it looks pretty cool because the helicopters, you know, they take off, they got to go find a body of water, they fill their bucket with water. You see, it's a pretty cool animation for that. And then from there, they make their way over to the fire and just kind of, you know, drop it down. So it's a lot of fun. A lot of effort went into this DLC. So I think it's, you know, money well spent. All right, so let's, I'm going to be lazy and just kind of zone that area just to get some power down through here, and let's just bring this road in. Might as well get some function out of that. Okay, great. On to some more fire towers before I get a little bit too distracted. Maybe we can just put one over here. Awesome. And there are going to be some areas, you know, this might not be totally accessible, so we just may not get to them, and unfortunately if a fire does happen, it might just burn off in the distance, but c'est la vie. And then when it comes to the disasters themselves, you can turn them on or off, and you can have them just, you know, you can turn up the frequency, have them run in the background if you want. You can place them down at any point. You can see just that option right there. So lots to do with them. Okay, let me just bring some more water. I think we actually need some more water in general. And, you know, speaking of water, we do have a few new buildings here, so why don't we talk about those really quick. And I do want to stretch a road out to that fire watch tower afterwards. Let me just do one thing at a time here. So it's just a very little temporary fix. But in instances like this, or let's say a disaster does strike and your city loses power and you can't, like your water pumps aren't, you know, pumping water anymore. Let's move this out of the way, you'll see what I'm up to. You've now got these buildings here. This is a water reservoir tank. And these you would just connect to your network. Maybe we can put 3 of them down. And then when you have excess water being pumped, it's going to fill these up. And if you lose power, or you're in an instance where, you know, you're just not getting enough water to the city, the reservoirs will kind of act as a backup until you kind of fix the issue. And you've got these pumping services right here, and these guys have vacuum trucks that go out, and they're going to clean up the area that's kind of flooded. So these kind of help out too. And then not only that, it's just, again, for the whole visual thing, I think they're pretty cool looking buildings just to kind of add to your, you know, industrial areas, or if you wanted to along like a canal network, so you can make that maybe mixed in with some, like a nuclear power plant. So if you're playing vanilla, you just have so many more building options to kind of make your areas feel a bit more unique and lifelike. And then the coolest thing you get with the water tab is this thing right here, which is a fresh water outlet. And it literally is exactly what you think it is. You can put this anywhere you want, and when it's connected, it just spews fresh water. So if you want, you can create a you know, a reservoir. You can, you know, if you want like waterfalls, You can use this in combination with some terraforming. So it's like the possibilities are literally endless with this thing right here. You can see there goes the water. So lots and lots and lots and lots of fun to be had with this. And, you know, you can, yeah, dams, like whatever you want. So that's kind of fun too. So if you're doing just vanilla, way more options. So I think that's a very pleasant little surprise that was added to the DLC itself, just to kind of entice you guys to buy it. And let's just connect these up. Okay, so let's go back to our disaster-based buildings. So Fire Watch Tower, like I was saying, they only need, you can see, just a power connection, but we'll bring in a road just for the pure funsies of it. And then we can just put one of these in place. Excellent. All right. Okay, so we've got our fire helicopter depots in. I think we just have 2. No, we do have a 3rd. That's perfect. Let's now put in one of our police helicopters. And then these things, you know, same idea. Just respond to crimes and this and that. Especially in areas that are inaccessible. Why don't we stretch one of these roads out? Waterfront helicopters. That sounds like a cool idea. Great, and I'm liking that. And then maybe one more. I'm going to put this over in the industrial part of town, just because we have a lot of space over here. Kind of like our little helicopter network already forming in this corner. Okay, well, I think that's pretty much it for the new buildings. Just double check we've all got them placed. I think we do. Got our helicopters. Excellent. Okay, so now let's do something fun. And by something fun, I mean let's blow this place to smithereens. So we have entirely, maybe gone a little bit overboard too, got the city ready for impeding disasters, that kind of stuff. And you can see our budget, we're still in the positives, so that's not a bad thing. But it definitely took a really big hit, so you gotta be just essentially aware of that. Okay, so let's take a nice little scenic view of the city right here. I'm just gonna go ahead and save the game. And then we can, yeah, drop in some disasters. And let's maybe make it a little bit fun and dramatic and try and add some music, or I don't even know, just have some fun with that. So, yeah, I'm going to leave you guys here with the talkies. I'll come join you guys again after we blow some stuff up and talk this and that. But I'll see you guys in just a little second. So enjoy our little disaster montage here.
Meteorologists are issuing a thunderstorm warning for the coming days. Citizens are advised to stay indoors. Meteorologists have issued a severe tornado warning for the area. Residents should seek shelter immediately if any is available. A thunderstorm is battering the city. Stay indoors until the storm has passed. A tornado has touched down in the area. Seek shelter immediately if any is available. Astrologists report that a devastating meteor will strike the city in the near future. Residents should seek shelter immediately if any is available. Warning: experts predict an earthquake could hit the area soon. Meteorologists are issuing a thunderstorm warning for the coming days. Citizens are advised to stay indoors. A meteor strike has occurred. Avoid the impact site and head to shelter if any is available. An earthquake is occurring. Don't panic and wait for help if you are in the affected area. A tsunami has struck the city. Take caution and avoid roads and waterfronts until the water recedes. A tsunami has struck the city. Take caution and avoid roads and waterfronts until the water recedes.
Well, howdy guys, welcome back. Our city, it's seen better days, let's put it that way. I think it pretty much for the most part actually survived everything we threw at it, strangely enough. But you can see the path of destruction right here where the tornado went through, like tons of rubble. And what's really cool is like the areas that are like, you know, covered in rubble and broken buildings, they're only accessible by helicopter. So that's pretty neat. You can see them flying in and out. These are the medical helicopters right here. We still have a few fires burning, but overall, a pretty good response time for our fire department. So I got to give them, you know, pat in the back right there. I think that's the last of the fires going out. But man, oh man, that was absolutely insane. There's another one right there, actually. That was quite a bit of action. And so what I think we're going to do with episode 22 is we'll just we'll continue from right before we blew everything up, because you can see this is quite the amount of icons to have to deal with. And unfortunately, the disasters, it just destroys your budget too. So holy smokes! I hope you guys had some fun with this though. I know you guys will definitely have fun blowing up your own cities. So yeah, drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. Like I said, the game, it does get updated on the 29th. That's when you can buy the new DLC now, but you can't play it until the 29th. And it's not just the disasters. You do get some new fun mechanics and, you know, buildings. And there's the new scenario editor too. And, you know, kind of just take the game to a whole new direction. But oh my goodness, that was a lot of fun, guys. So hopefully, yeah, like I said, you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know. If not, who knows, you know? Maybe it's not your thing, but that's okay. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this, guys. So I will see you in the next episode. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. And happy building in your own towns. And it'll be nice to see this, yeah, back in order in the next episode. But it was kind of fun just to get away from things and blow stuff up for a change of pace. All right, guys, I'm ImperialJedi. Thanks for sticking around, and I will see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves.